You were not an accident. You weren't a random collection of cells that just showed up to take space, punch a clock, and die forgotten. You were born with purpose, deep burning, undeniable purpose. Before the world told you what to believe, before society taught you how to doubt yourself, before people projected their fears onto your soul, you knew there was something inside you that was meant to shine. You felt it. You might not have had the words for it, but you felt it. As a child, you dreamed without limits. You didn't question whether you were qualified, worthy, or good enough. You just imagined, believed, and chased. That wasn't fantasy. That was the truth speaking through your soul before the world tried to silence it. That was purpose trying to make itself known before mediocrity put a hand over its mouth. But then it started, didn't it? You can't do that. That's not realistic. Be more practical. Who do you think you are? And little by little, you began to shrink. You traded imagination for imitation. You swapped purpose for a paycheck. You exchanged fire for approval. And the worst part, you called it growing up. But understand something very clearly, you were not born for average. You were not born to fit into broken systems, to obey invisible rules, or to keep your head down while your spirit screams for more. You were born to rise, to stretch, to expand, to live so fully that mediocrity can't survive in your presence. That kind of life, it's not given to the lucky, it's claimed by the brave. The reason you feel restless, the reason you feel like something is missing, like there's another level to your life that you haven't tapped into, it's because there is. That's not confusion, that's your calling. That's your purpose trying to wake you up from the coma of comfort. You know you weren't made to wake up every day and go through the motions. You know you weren't designed to grind for someone else's dream while yours collects dust. You were built for more, and the evidence is that fire in your gut that refuses to go out no matter how many times life tries to stomp it. Purpose isn't some mystical thing only special people have. Purpose is hardwired into you. It's not found, it's remembered. It's unlocked when you stop chasing validation and start chasing your conviction. It's revealed when you stop performing for the world and start listening to your soul. You want to know what mediocrity is? It's not about income, status, or where you live. It's not a number. And mediocrity is the betrayal of your potential. It's living below the level you're capable of, knowing deep down you could be more, give more, but choosing not to because fear feels safer than freedom. And here's what most people never tell you: your purpose is dangerous. It will cost you comfort. It will challenge your identity. It will threaten your excuses. It will make you face your laziness, your doubt, your wounds. And if you're brave enough to keep walking, it will liberate you. Because when you live in purpose, you're no longer a slave to how things should be. You stop waiting for the perfect moment. You stop shrinking around people who haven't yet decided to rise. Purpose makes you unapologetic. Purpose gives your pain a name. Purpose pulls greatness out of you even when you're tired, even when you're scared, even when you're alone. The world doesn't need more copies. It needs originals who dare to ignite their mission and bring it to life. That's you. You've always known it. The problem isn't that you don't have purpose. The problem is that you've been talked out of believing it. The school system didn't teach it. Your environment may not have supported it. Maybe your own family never saw it in you. But that doesn't erase the fact that it's still there. Purpose doesn't die. It just gets buried under fear, routine, and noise. So now the challenge is this: will you uncover it? Will you dig for it when it's buried beneath years of distraction? Will you stop pretending you're satisfied living on the surface when the deep parts of you are screaming for meaning? Because here's the true thing. The moment you reconnect with your purpose, average becomes impossible. The moment you wake up to who you really are, you start playing this game of life at a level that most people can't even comprehend. Not because you're better, because you're aligned, because you finally remembered that you weren't sent here to blend in with mediocrity. You were sent here to disrupt it. Settling is seductive. It whispers promises of comfort, safety, and stability. It tells you this is good enough. Don't risk it. Don't stretch. Stay here where it's warm, where it's familiar. But that's the trap, because beneath the surface of that comfort is a silent kind of suffering, a pain that grows not from failure, but from potential used, from greatness ignored. Settling doesn't hurt on the outside. It doesn't leave visible scars, but it burns on the inside, slowly and silently, until one day you wake up and realize you've been living a life that doesn't even belong to you. There's a certain numbness that comes with settling. At first, it feels like relief. You stop chasing. You stop fighting. You stop hoping. You tell yourself, I guess this is just how life is. But deep down, you know you've given up something sacred. You've traded the fire for a flicker. You've taken your one shot at life and folded it into something safe, something predictable. And what's left? A job that doesn't light you up, a routine that leaves you hollow, relationships where you feel unseen, and dreams that sit on a dusty shelf in the back of your mind untouched. And yet, despite all of this, most people stay there. Why? Because settling hurts less immediate than becoming. The pain of settling is slow and quiet. It's disguised as normal, but the fire of becoming, that's loud, that's disruptive, that's uncomfortable, and it demands everything you've got. Becoming who you're meant to be doesn't come with a roadmap. It comes with resistance. It comes with failure, with rejection, with confusion. It forces you to walk into the unknown, to confront your limitations, to outgrow your current self. And for most people, that's terrifying. So they settle instead. Not because they can't become, but because they're afraid of what becoming will cost. But here's what no one tells you. Both paths hurt. There is pain in settling, and there is pain in becoming, but only one leads to freedom. Only one leads to fulfillment. The pain of becoming is temporary. It's the kind of pain that breaks you open so something greater can rise. It's the fire that burns away who you're not so you can step into who you truly are. It's the grind that carves strength into your character, clarity into your soul, and power into your spirit. When you choose the fire of becoming, you step into a different world. You stop living by default and start living by design. You stop being a passenger in your life and take the wheel even if the road is uncertain. You show up for yourself when no one else claps, when no one else sees the vision, when no one else believes, and slowly, painfully, beautifully you rise. You rise, you choose the challenge. You rise because you refuse to let comfort become your cage. You rise because something inside of you knows you were born for more than just okay. And make no mistake, becoming is messy. It will break your illusions. It will dismantle the lies you've told yourself. It will drag your insecurities to the surface. But in the wreckage, you will discover truth. And truth is the birthplace of power. Most people wait for life to give them permission. They wait for the perfect timing, the right circumstances, the guaranteed outcome. But life doesn't work like that. You don't get certainty on the road to greatness. You get courage, you get grit, you get to learn how to move forward even when the path is unclear, even when the fear is loud, even when the world says, stay where you are. Settling is choosing to sleepwalk through life. It's choosing quiet regret over bold pursuit. It's choosing to live half alive, always wondering what could have been if you just said yes to yourself, to your calling, to your capacity. The fire of becoming, on the other hand, is brutal and beautiful. It demands your energy, your intention, your heart. But it gives you something settling never can, a life that feels real, a life that means something, a life you can stand behind with pride and power. No one escapes the pain, but you get to choose your pain. Will you choose the slow erosion of settling or the transformative fire of becoming? One keeps you where you are, the other launches you into who you were born to be. Becoming isn't a moment. It's a decision, a mindset, a lifestyle. It's waking up every day and saying, I will not let fear make my choices. I will not let comfort dictate my future. I will rise through the fire even if I have to crawl. Your mind is not just a part of you. It is the command center, the battleground where every war is won or lost before anything ever happens in the real world. The dreams you chase, the goals you set, the life you live, it all begins in the space between your ears. If you don't learn how to take control of your mind, the world will. If you don't learn to master your thoughts will master you. And make no mistaking, your mind is not neutral. It is always working, always building, always tearing something down or raising something up. The question is, what is it building for you? Most people lose before they even begin, not because they don't have talent, not because they lack opportunity, but because they've already lost the fight in their own head. They wake up in the morning and the first thing they feel is anxiety. The first thing they hear is doubt. The first thing they carry is fear. And they wonder when they can't break through, but how can you win in life when you're already losing in your own mind? Your mind will feed you things or excuses or possibilities, and whichever you feed more becomes your default language. If you constantly focus on what's wrong, what could go wrong, what you failed at before, you'll start believing that's all there is. But if you teach yourself to focus on what's possible, to redirect your thoughts toward action and progress, you begin to change the game, not just emotionally, neurologically, physically, biologically. You literally reshape your brain through repetition and direction. This isn't motivation, it's mental warfare. You've got to realize that you're not just fighting the world's expectations, you're fighting your own conditioning. Years of doubt, fear, criticism, comparison, it's all built up inside you. So every time you go to push, to grow, to rise, that old programming kicks in. You're not good enough, you always fail. Why even try? And if you don't learn to interrupt those patterns and rewrite them, they'll keep running your life on autopilot. They'll keep pulling you back every time you try to move forward. You've got to become the watcher of your thoughts. You've got to become the gatekeeper of what you allow into your mental space. You wouldn't let a stranger walk into your home, trash the place, insult your family, and take your stuff. So why do you let thoughts like that run free in your head all day long? Thoughts that tell you you're not ready. Thoughts that say you're too old, too young, too late, too broken. You have to grab those thoughts and throw them out with force. You have to deciding, I will not live in a mental prison of my own making. And let's be clear, this isn't about pretending. This isn't about repeating some cheesy affirmation and hoping life changes. This is about going to war with the voice that's lied to your whole life and replacing it with truth, with power, with vision. You don't win the battle of life by accident. You win it by building a mind so strong that nothing from the outside can shake what's solid on the inside. Because the truth is, life will test you. You will be rejected. You will fail. People will criticize you. Plans will fall apart. And in those moments, it won't be your skill or talent that carries you. It'll be your mindset. That inner fire that says, I'm not quitting. That voice that says, I am not defined by this moment. Grit that says, I will rise no matter how many times I fall. But that voice doesn't just show up. You have to train it. You have to condition it daily. Just like a muscle, mental strength is built through repetition, resistance, and challenge. Every time you get up early when your mind says sleep, you're training that muscle. Every time you speak possibility when your mind whispers fear, you're training that muscle. Every time you push through discomfort and take action when your brain screams for safety, you are winning the battle. And the more you win inside, the more your outer world begins to shift to reflect. People talk about leveling up their life, upgrading their finances, transforming their body. And all of that is powerful. But none of it lasts if the mind isn't aligned. That's why you see people who succeed but sabotage it. That's why you see people get in shape but fall back into the same destructive habits. Because their external success outgrew their internal identity, and the mind always finds a way to bring things back to what it believes is true. So if you don't change the belief system, you'll always return to what's familiar, even if it's painful. So you have to ask yourself, what kind of thoughts do I tolerate? What kind of beliefs have I accepted as fact that are actually lies? Whose voice is narrating my life? And why do I still let it? The day you stop letting fear write your story is the day you begin to win, not out there in here. Because once you've claimed victory in the battlefield of your mind, there's not a force on this earth that can stop you from becoming who you were born to be. Motivation is a spark. It's the high after a good speech, the rush you feel after watching a powerful video or hearing someone tell their story. It feels amazing. It's emotional, electric, and powerful for a moment. But motivation is unreliable. It fades, it burns hot and fast, but it doesn't stick around when things get hard, when the alarm clock rings early, when the weight gets heavy, or when the path gets lonely. That's where discipline takes over. Discipline is not sexy. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. Discipline shows up whether the sun is shining or the sky is falling, is what builds a life. Motivation might start the engine, but discipline drives the car all the way to the finish line. People wait for motivation like it's some magical force. I don't feel like it today. I'm just not inspired. I'll get started when I'm in the right headspace. That mindset is why people stay stuck. That's why dreams die. That's why so many live with regret, because they kept waiting for a feeling instead of building a habit. Motivation is emotional, but discipline is choice. Discipline is doing what must be done, especially when you don't want to do it. It's putting the work in when no one's watching. It's showing up for your future self, even when your current self is tired, stressed, or unmotivated. You think success is built in the moments when you're inspired. No, it's built in the early mornings and the late nights, in the silence, in the repetition. It's built when no one claps for you. It's built in the grind, the discipline, the decision to keep going when it's boring and when it's uncomfortable, when it feels pointless. Because the people who win in this life are not the most talented, they're the most consistent. They've trained their mind to push through the resistance. They've made discipline a non-negotiable. It's not about feeling like it, it's about being committed no matter what. And here's what no one tells you: discipline isn't natural. It's not something you're born with. It's not something only high performers have. It's a muscle, and like any muscle, it grows with use. The more you practice discipline, the stronger it gets, but if you only move when you feel like it, you'll stay weak mentally and physically. You'll always be a slave to your emotions. You'll keep starting things and never finishing. You'll keep quitting when it gets hard. That's not a lack of ability, that's a lack of discipline. You want to change your body, discipline. You want to grow your business, discipline. You want better relationships, stronger mindset, more money, more peace, discipline. Not just when it's easy, not just when it's fun, especially when it's inconvenient, especially when it costs you something. Because discipline isn't just about action, it's about sacrifice, sacrificing short-term comfort for long-term greatness, sacrificing excuses for execution, sacrificing your old identity for who you're becoming. Motivation is like a match. It can light a fire, but it burns out fast. Discipline is the wood, the steel, the structure. It's the thing that keeps the fire alive long after the spark is gone. And when you train yourself to live by discipline, something shifts. You stop negotiating with yourself, you stop needing hype, you stop chasing temporary emotion and start building permanent power. You become the kind of person who does what needs to be done regardless of how you feel. And that is rare. That is what separates the top percent from the rest of the world. Most people are prisoners to their emotions. They let their mood dictate their output. I'm tired, so I'll skip today. I'm stressed, so I'll put it off. I'm not feeling it, so I'll wait. And they never realize that every time they do that, they're training themselves to give up. Every time you choose comfort over commitment, you're reinforcing weakness. But every time you choose discipline, even in small ways, you're reinforcing strength. You're telling your brain, I'm in charge here, not my feelings, not my fears, not my fatigue. And discipline doesn't just transform your results, it transforms your identity. When you live by discipline, you begin to see yourself differently. You start to respect yourself. You build trust with yourself because you know that no matter how hard it gets, you'll show up. You become your own standard. You don't need external pressure. You've got internal power, and that is unshakable. That is the root of confidence, of clarity, of real self-worth. The world will throw obstacles at you, distractions, temptations, setbacks, chaos, it's all coming, and motivation won't carry you through it. Discipline will, because discipline doesn't bend in the face of difficulty. It doesn't crumble when the storm hits. It's not emotional, it's a code. It's the warrior's mindset. It's the inner voice that says, no matter what happens, I move forward. It's the habit of rising when everything in you wants to lay down. It's the standard that turns effort into excellence, that turns average days into legendary outcomes. Discipline is the difference between wanting a better life and actually building one. Discomfort is the door to growth, but most people run from it like it's the enemy. They avoid it, deny it, numb it, resist it. Because we've been taught to believe that if something feels uncomfortable, it must be wrong. But that's the lie. That's the illusion that keeps people stuck. Because everything you want in life, every breakthrough, every transformation, every level up, it all lives on the other side of discomfort. And until you learn to embrace it, you'll keep circling the same problems, the same fears, the same patterns. Growth doesn't come wrapped in ease. It's born in the fire. It shows up in the moments when you want to quit, but decide to keep going. It shows up when your back is against the wall and you dig deeper instead of running. Comfort is a beautiful place, but nothing grows there. It's where dreams go to die. It's where ambition gets dull. It's where potential is buried under excuses and hesitation. You weren't made to stay there. You were made to stretch, to push, to evolve. Look back at your life. The moments that shaped you, changed you, made you stronger. They weren't easy ones. They were the hard conversations, the painful failures, the risks you didn't want to take but did anyway. They were the times you felt like breaking but didn't. The times you were uncomfortable, uncertain, afraid, and moved forward anyway. That's the zone where real change begins. And the people who rise in life are the ones who make that zone their home. Discomfort is not punishment, it's preparation. It's your body, your mind, your spirit stretching into something bigger. When your muscles ache during a workout, they're not being damaged, they're growing. And your character works the same way. The pain of discomfort is proof that you're alive, that you're engaged, that you're moving. But we've become addicted to ease, addicted to convenience, addicted to quick wins and instant gratification. And that addiction is stealing our power. You want to be unstoppable. Learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Learn to lean into the challenge. Learn to stand still in the fire instead of retreating. Because that's where confidence is built, Not from being fearless, but from facing fear again and again and realizing it doesn't own you. Not from having all the answers, but from being willing to step into the unknown anyway. Not from feeling ready, but from showing up regardless of how ready you feel. Every time you embrace discomfort, you expand your threshold, you widen your capacity. What once felt hard becomes normal. What once felt impossible becomes part of your routine. You grow into the person who no longer hesitates, no longer doubts, no longer plays small. You build resilience, you build endurance. You build the kind of grit that can't be taught. It has to be earned through experience, through failure, through pushing to the edge and realizing you didn't break, you got stronger. People talk about wanting more out of life, more success, more love, more money, more peace. But they don't want to pay the price. They want the reward without the risk, the victory without the battle. But life doesn't work like that. You don't get to skip the uncomfortable parts. You have to go through it. You have to be willing to feel the pain of change, to sit with the fear, to show up anyway. That's what separates the driven from the drifting. That's what separates those who settle from those who rise. Discomfort is the forge of transformation. It strips away the unnecessary. It reveals what you're really made of. It forces you to confront yourself, to look at your limitations, your habits, your mindset. It humbles you, sharpens you, strengthens you. And if you're willing to go there, to stay there, to keep showing up even when it's hard, you come out the other side a different person. A stronger person, a more focused, more aligned, more capable version of yourself. But if you keep running from discomfort, if you keep choosing the easy path, the safe choice, the comfortable decision, you'll never know what you're truly capable of. You'll live a life that's small, that's narrow, that never scratches the surface of your potential. You'll always wonder what could have been if you had just leaned in instead of backing away. If you had just embraced the stretch, embraced the unknown, embraced the tension, instead of escaping it. And here's the truth, discomfort doesn't last, it passes, but the strength it gives you stays, the confidence it builds stays, the transformation it sparks stays. So the next time life puts you in an uncomfortable position, don't retreat, don't run, don't numb it. Lean in it, face it, step into it with the belief that on the other side is not just a result, it's a version of you that you've never met. A version that's stronger, braver, more focused, a version that's not held back by fear, by doubt, by the need to always feel good before they take action. That version is forged in the fire of discomfort, and the only way to meet them is to walk straight into it. Success is not random, it's not luck, it's not magic. Success is a process, it's a blueprint, it leaves a trail. Clues, patterns, decisions, disciplines that anyone can follow. The people who rise to greatness don't get there by accident, they model, they study, they adapt. They find the people who have done what they want to do, and instead of reinventing the wheel, they learn how that wheel turns. They take the guesswork out of the game by learning from those who've already played it at the highest level. That's not copying. It's called strategy. You want to go further, faster? Stop winging it. Start modeling. Find the greats. Study their mindset, their habits, their routines, their standards. How do they think? How do they act when things fall apart? What do they do when motivation disappears and pressure shows up? Success always leaves behind a map. Most people don't bother to read it. They'd rather drift than drive. They'd rather guess than grow. They'd rather listen to their friends and followers than the people who walked the path and paid the price. There's a formula to mastery, and part of it is humility to admit that someone out there knows more than humility to say. If I want to get better, I need to learn from those who've been there. That kind of mindset will change your life, because the moment you stop thinking you have to figure it all out on your own, you start accelerating, you stop wasting time, you get the benefit of someone else's pain, someone else's mistakes, some victories, without having to repeat the same cycles yourself. Every person who has achieved extraordinary results has left behind lessons, strategies, principles that you can apply right now. They may have had a different story, a different background, a different start, but greatness always follows universal laws, discipline, vision, consistency, ownership. You can't skip those steps, but you can learn how others took them. You can study their focus, you can absorb their intensity, you can model their work ethic and their mindset until it becomes part of your own. Think about athletes, artists, entrepreneurs, leaders. The ones who dominate don't just practice, study better, they model the best. They don't just train physically, they train mentally, emotionally, spiritually. They look at the ones who've broken through before them and ask, what are they doing differently? What are they thinking that I'm not? What standards are they living by that I haven't committed to yet? And then they raise their game, not once, every day. You don't need to guess your way to success. That's the long road. That's the hard road. The fast lane is filled with wisdom if you're willing to learn, but most people never humble themselves enough to ask the right questions. They're too busy trying to look they've got it all figured out. Success doesn't care about your ego. It only responds to your effort and your willingness to listen, learn, and apply. Modeling is not imitation, it's alignment. It's aligning your thoughts, your behavior, your strategies with the patterns of those who've already won. You're not trying to be them, you're extracting what works so you can become the highest version of you. The goal isn't to mimic, it's to absorb, to innovate, to build upon the foundation that's already been laid by the giants who came before you. If you want to make $1 million, don't ask your broke friends how to do it. Study someone who's built wealth and kept it. If you want to build a healthy body, don't guess your way through fitness. Learn from someone who's mastered it. If you want to be a better leader, look at how the best lead under pressure, how they communicate, how they influence, how they hold themselves and others to a higher standard, then do the work. Apply it, adjust, but don't try to go it alone when the blueprint is right in front of you. The greats aren't lucky, they're intentional. And one of the most powerful intentions they carry is this: learn from the best every single day. They read, they listen, they ask questions, they seek feedback. They stay hungry because they know that success isn't a destination, it's a process of constant growth. And growth doesn't happen in isolation, it happens in proximity to excellence. When you surround yourself with greatness, through books, videos, mentors, environments, you begin to normalize that level. You begin to raise your standards. You begin to see what's possible, not just for them, but for you. Most people admire success from a distance. They treat it like a fantasy, like something reserved for the lucky few. But success is not reserved. It's revealed, and it's revealed through action, modeling, and repetition. If you study greatness long enough, you begin to see the patterns. You begin to see that it's not magic, it's mindset, it's work, it's intention. And if they can do it, so can you. Because the clues are everywhere. The question is, are you willing to follow them? Are you willing to drop the excuses and step into the path that's already been paved and then push it even further? That's how the cycle continues. That's how legacies are built. That's how greatness expands. Greatness isn't inherited. It's not reserved for the chosen few. It's not something you're born with. It's something you claim, and you don't claim it once. You claim it daily. Every single day you wake up, greatness is on the table. It's waiting. It doesn't care what your past looks like, what mistakes you've made, what limitations you think you have. Greatness is a decision, a conscious, intentional choice to rise above the average, to lean into discipline, to own your time, your energy, your focus. And that decision has to be made every morning before your feet hit the floor, because the world will try to convince you to shrink, to settle, to play small. There will be distractions, doubts, and detours. There will be days when you don't feel like showing up, when nothing goes your way, when the voice in your head tells you it's not worth it. That's why greatness has to be a decision, not an emotion, not a reaction, not something you do when it's convenient or comfortable, but a non-negotiable, a commitment, a code you live by. When you treat greatness like a gift instead of a choice, you give away your power. You tell yourself a story that someone else is better, smarter, luckier, more talented, and you let that become your ceiling. But talent is cheap. Greatness doesn't come from potential, it comes from consistency, from intention, from waking up every day and saying, no matter what life throws at me, I will still choose to rise. I will still choose to give everything I've got. I will still choose to honor my potential, even when no one sees it yet. You don't need permission to be great. You don't need approval. You need the stars to align. You need a decision backed by action, fueled by commitment, and repeated through every challenge, because greatness is forged in repetition, in the habits you build when no one's watching, in the standards you refuse to lower, even when it would be easier to coast. The person who chooses greatness doesn't need the world to believe in them. They believe in themselves so deeply, so relentlessly, that nothing can shake them. That kind of belief is a muscle. It's built through the small choices, the uncomfortable decisions, waking up early when you want to sleep in, saying no to distractions when everyone else says yes, holding yourself accountable when excuses feel justified. That's how you earn self-respect. That's how you build the foundation for confidence that can't be taken away. Because it's not based on what you've achieved, it's based on who you've become. You don't wake up great, you wake up with the opportunity to be great. The question is will you seize it, or will you let it slip? Will you coast through your day on autopilot, or will you step into the arena with intention? Will you let your emotions dictate your output, or will you anchor yourself to a higher standard? These are the decisions that define a life. These are the moments that stack up into identity. And your identity is the root of your destiny. People, greatness is this big, overwhelming concept, something reserved for once-in-a-lifetime performances or world-changing impact. But that's not where it starts. It starts in the mundane, in the simple choice to push one more rep, to make one more call, to speak one more truth, to lead when it's hard, to be disciplined when it's lonely, to raise your standard when it's easier to blend in. That's where greatness lives, not in the spotlight, but in the shadows, not in applause, but in alignment. And the most powerful thing is you get to choose it every day. No one can take that from you. Circumstances can shift. People can doubt you. Plans can fall apart. But as long as you keep choosing greatness, choosing to show up, to grow, to give your best, you stay on the path, you stay in control, you stay locked into the version of yourself that you were born to become. This isn't about perfection. It's about pursuit. It's about staying committed to the decision even when the outcome isn't clear. It's about being the kind of person who lives with intention, who refuses to settle, who shows up with fire in their eyes even when the world expects them to fade out. You don't wait for greatness. You don't hope for it. You build it, you claim it, you fight for it every single day. And the moment you stop choosing it is the moment you start to drip back into the average. But the moment you reclaim it, even after setbacks, even after doubt, even after failure, you come back stronger, you come back sharper, you come back more grounded in your purpose and more dangerous in your pursuit. Greatness doesn't show up one day and say, I've arrived. It shows up every day in the mirror asking, are you ready to decide again? And if the answer is yes, if you're willing to live like it, breathe like it, act like it, then greatness isn't a thing out there anymore. It's who you are. Because you've chosen it again and again, day after day, until it becomes not just what you do, but how you live. Throughout this journey, remember that greatness is not a distant destination reserved for a lucky few. It's a daily choice, a commitment to rise above comfort, to master your mind, to build unshakable discipline, and to learn from those who have paved the way before you. You were not born average. You were born with purpose, with potential, and with the power to claim the extraordinary life waiting for you. Every challenge you face, every moment of discomfort, every decision to push forward is shaping the person you are becoming. Embrace it, own it, and never settle for less than your best. Greatness is within your reach, but it starts with the decision you make today and every day after that. So go out there, claim your greatness, and live the life you were born to lead. Thank you for being here, for committing to your growth, and for daring to become more than average. The world needs your greatness now more than ever.